Hello, Turtle Monkey here. Today you and I are going to discuss this lockpick gun. Pretty self-explanatory. Pull the trigger, this slips, goes up, hits the pins while you're adding tension, and it pretty much automatically picks the lock for you depending on the lock and depending on the situation and what's all in the, what type of pins are in it. So when it came in this cheap little box. They held out no expense for the package it came in. Compared to this one, this is $8 on Amazon. Compare this to a $50 one from an actual lockpick company. And we'll get into the guts of it here in a little bit. But as you can tell, the finish is poor. Like you can see divots and stuff in it. It works. The parts don't line up correctly. But again, I only paid $8 for this. This is all you get. You get two straight picks and then two angled ones. And then one tension wrench. And I'm not too fond of the tension wrench, it's a little thick, but we'll get into that. How does this compare to a normal price lockpick gun, not a fairly inexpensive, unlined, cheap one you can get off Amazon? Well, give me a second, I'll throw a lock in the vise and we'll get picking. So I have a Master Lock number 5 all locked up in my vise. To use one of these lockpick guns, get your tension wrench, get it in place. Whichever type of tension wrench you want to use, I recommend not top of the keyway with this because this will actually smack the tension wrench out of the way. So the way this works is when you pull this trigger, when it's in there, it rapidly hits. You can do it pretty quick. It'll try to hit all the pins evenly and kind of spring them in place. So when you're adding tension to it, when they come back down or the springs push them down now, back down, it locks them into place and it opens. So what you want to do is put it in there level. Make sure you're touching all the pins at the same time, not up high on one side or down like this. And be down in there, and then add just not a little bit, but add moderate tension. Not a lot, not a little bit, just enough. And if you don't get it right away, reset the lock and try again. Can't get it right away, reset and keep going. Then if you can't get it right away and you know your level, then that's when you can start kind of lifting up and lowering it to hit the pins just a little bit differently to get them in there. And my fingers get tired. Oh, golly, went to the back of the lock. There we go. So, kind of a pain in the butt. They're not the easiest things to use, especially depending on the lock. But it does work, it does pick it. So you can tell there. So let's get another lock in there and see how long it takes to do that one. Okay, so now we have one of Master Lock's circle locks. You usually find these on storage units, stuff like that, kind of like a U-Haul lock. Get your tension wrench in there. Same concept applies. Get in there, try to hit all the pins evenly, add a little bit of tension, and start pulling the trigger. Oh, there we go. So that one's a lot easier. It just depends on the lock and luck, really, because all you're doing is basically rake picking rapidly with one of these tools. So it works on some locks, but locks like this, like one of these Ace Hardware, or these are also like kind of like Master Locks, and also American locks where they have security pins in there. It can get to a full set, but it won't open it all the way, no matter how many times you snap it, because the way those pins are in there, it'll catch you every time. But it does work for some, and for an $8 lockpick gun, you can't complain. It functions. I mean, the package it came in wasn't the greatest, so you have to put something together yourself. It doesn't line up, the metal doesn't line up on the seams, but it functions. It's $8 and it opened two kind of common locks, so can't complain there. Now let's compare it to a high quality lock. Kind of put them side by side, you can see. Of course, this one has a nicer finish, but the metal lines up. The build's very similar. If you look at the internals, I mean, it has a better screw on this one. But those are almost identical, the way the bolt patterns are. You see where there's one here, and it's actually coming loose. I'm gonna screw that in. See? Joys. You're messing with inexpensive equipment. Where this one doesn't have that, has a push pin instead. But pretty similar. Now see how this one functions? Listen to that sound. Listen to this one. It's a lot louder click. Let me take this apart and we'll look inside of both of them. All right, we got them apart. These parts look identical. You guys can tell. Minus this one actually has some grease to it, so the parts last longer and work smoother. But you can see here, the inside's pretty much the same. This one's this A piece right here. Actually, when you pull the trigger back, it pushes against this spring right here, and that's what actually causes this thing to. So when you push this back all the way, it releases. See that? Push. I'm gonna see if my hands are the way properly. You push this back. I'm gonna get this out of the way, like that, and it basically runs a hammer up here that hits this, that comes down and hits it up like that. That made sense. So when you pull the trigger back, it pushes this A-frame back, which also has a spring on it. Pulls this part back, which is kind of like a hammer and a spring. So when you tighten or loosen this up, you're actually tightening, loosening the effect of the pick coming up, how hard it comes up. Either it comes up heavy or light. If I get this back in there. There we go. So, okay, when you pull the trigger, it moves this back. This pushes or pulls this back, this part back, which is kind of like a hammer, a springed hammer. Hopefully I'm zoomed in on this. And allows this thing to pivot down and back up. So when you pull the trigger, basically it's causing a hammer to come up, hit this, and hit the pick up. It's the same designs over here, but you can tell it's made a little differently. Looks like it has better parts on the inside. This one's made a lot better than this one is. The screw on this one, okay, so this one has a bolt with a thing. It goes about to right here, then a spring, and this pushes against the spring. This one has a screw the whole way through. You can see the threads go all the way down. It has the spring in there. So when I pull this or push this one in, it's a lot smoother, a lot better. So you definitely pay for what you get. So that's the difference between $40 to $50 quality lockpick gun and $8 Amazon purchase to humor myself to see if how poor this thing was designed or made. And they're very similar in design, but this one has a lot of parts that need to be modified or upgraded to work more efficiently or more smoothly. But again, for $8, I mean, it works. We picked 2 different locks with it, no problem. Pretty interesting. Hope you learned something. If you did, let me know about it. I love feedback. And thanks for watching. If you have any questions about these, please let me know. And stay safe out there and stay picked.